Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're going to start reviewing chemistry Regent for June 2019, and we're going to start doing part A. First question, which particles are found in the nucleus of an argon? I don't care about the argon. I don't care about the argon. He's asking about the particles in the atom. We knew before I have proton plus neutron inside the nucleus. After that I have electrons in the orbitals. Correct? So what inside is proton and neutrons. So the first issue is proton and electron. No, because electrons are in the outer shell. Positron and neutron. No, because positron we don't have it. Proton and the neutron. So the answer is 3. Question number 2. The diagram below represents particle traveling through an electric field. So the particle go all the way. There is a rule that's saying opposite charge attract. If you look, so if these particles are negative, it's going up here. If it's positive, it's going down here. But if we observe, it's going all the way forward, straight forward. Why? Means it's neither negative nor positive. So this particle should be neutral. We know that the negative particles are electrons, the positive particles are protons, and the neutral particles are neutrons. So the particle remains undeflected when passing through this electric field is going to be the neutron. The mass of the electron. Okay. We understand before that the mass of an atom comes from proton and neutron. So these are the largest mass. Electron is less mass, that's why I don't use it in the calculation for the mass of the atom. So now, according to this information, I'm going to start to answer the question. He's saying that the mass of the electron is equal to the mass of the proton. This is incorrect, because if it's equal, it's going to be counted toward the mass of the atom. So this is incorrect. Equal to the mass of the neutron is the same reason, incorrect. Greater than, if it's greater than, we're going to take in consideration for calculating the mass for that. But it's less than the mass of the neutron, that's correct. Question number 4. Compared to the energy level, the energy of an electron. Okay, so before, here it's level 1, shield 2, shield 3, shield 4, shield 5. We understand to move from here to here, you have to add energy. And when you're going backward, you subtract energy the same. So what does it mean? They aren't in the same energy level, and as farther you're going to be, as more energy you're going to have. So all the equal parts the same are incorrect. Now I'm going to compare. I'm in the second position. So second position is more than first and less than third. So first third is lower, that's correct. So the answer is 1. Question number 5. In the ground state, an atom of which element has 7 valence electrons? So the valence electron, the last one is 7. Before doing that, valence electron 7 in group 17, which is halogen. So this element must be a halogen, so it's a fluorine. If you don't know this information, I can go for the reference sheet and I have to look for the element and see the configuration. If you're looking here, so the fluorine, as we see here, 7, while nitrogen is 5, so I can look for the configuration. Okay. Question number 6. Which information is sufficient to differentiate a sample of sodium from sample of silver? The mass of each sample, the volume of each sample, the reactivity with each sample with water, the phase of each sample at room temperature. Look, for the mass isn't sufficient, isn't sufficient because it's not a specific character. Specific character means something characteristic. So according to the mass, if I told you, like for example, I have 50 gram of a material, did you know it? No. But we have some characters, like when I talk about the density, that's character. When I say, for example, melting point, that's specific character. Boiling point is specific character. So mass isn't a specific character. Also, volumes isn't a specific character. But reactivity, yes, because sodium is one of the elements that can replace hydrogen in water, while silver cannot. While silver cannot. And the phase at room temperature, both of them are going to be metal at room temperature, so I can't say. It's a good differentiation. So the only answer that can be used is number 3. Question number 7. Graphite and diamond are two forms of carbon. So since it is the same element which is carbon, so they have all the same chemical properties, but they might differ in the physical properties. So different molecular structure means the distribution of the molecules and different properties. Okay, that's yes, because I said before they are going to be differ in physical properties. So they have some different properties, but chemically they are the same. So one count. Different molecular structure and same properties, that's incorrect because they still have different in the physical properties. Same, they are in the same molecular. So the only answer that is applicable is number 1. Question number 8. As the first 5 elements in group 14 are considered in order. So I have group 14 and he's going from the top to the bottom. That's the direction. So if you're going from the top to the bottom, the electronegativity decrease, ionization energy decrease, and the radius increase. These are the characters. So that's the group trend. That's the period and group trend. So other than that, they are the same because if they are in the same group, they have the same valence shell. That's why I have to cancel number 1. I have to cancel number 1. The electronegativity values and number of the first shell electrons. No, because the first shell, I don't use it in the consideration because all of them is going to have 2. But electronegativity is correct, but the second part is incorrect. That's why I cancel 2. The number of valence shell, no, we said that they have the same number, but the change in the atomic radii means half of the statement is correct and the other half is incorrect. So I cancel 3. Question number 4, the electronegativity change and the atomic radii is because that's the trend I just wrote over there. Okay. Question number 9. Which statement explain why sodium bromide is classified as a compound? Since it's classified like a compound, it consists of two elements, which is sodium and bromide. So, and they have a fixed ratio, which is 1 to 1. That's a compound. So I said sodium and bromide are chemically combined in a fixed proportion. That's correct. Sodium and bromide both non-metal? No, because sodium is a metal. Sodium bromide is a solid at 298 Kelvin and standard pressure. It's incorrect because I have elements in the same part. Sodium bromide dissolved in water? No, because I have even uh, some mixtures can be dissolved in water. Like if I have a mixture of sodium chloride and sugar, doesn't mean it's a compound. Okay, because a compound, something is combined together with a chemical bond. Question number 10. Which two terms represent chemical formula? Fission and fusion, these are reactions type for nuclear. Oxidation and reduction, that's chemical reaction. Empirical and structure, yes, that's correct because I have the empirical formula which is showing you in the simplest form the ratio between the elements, and I have structure formula which is showing you what element connected to what or bound to what. Endothermic and exothermic, that's a type of a reaction. So the only one is empirical and structure. Question number 11. During chemical reaction, charge, mass, and energy must be the same. I don't have a change, so must be conserved. Condensed, no. Conserved, yes. Decay, decomposite. So all of these, the other three options showing you that you have a change, and we agreed before there is no change. Question number 12. The degree of polarity of a covalent bond between two atoms determined by calculating the difference. That's easy one. Electronegativity. Because if you remember when we classify the elements, when we classify the type of bond according to the difference in the electronegativity, when we say if it's from 0 to zero point 0.4, that's non-polar. From 0.5 to 1.7, that's polar. From 1.8 and up, that's ionic. So it change difference in electronegativity. Difference in electronegativity. So the answer is 3. Question number 13. Which substance cannot be broken down? Elements. Because I can't break down the elements by chemical chains, but I can break it down by nuclear chain. So here I'm looking for an element. So ammonium is a compound, methane is a compound, water is a compound, but the only element is magnesium. Question number 14. Which statement describe components of a mixture? Each components gain new properties. If it's a mixture, means I can separate them using physical properties, not chemical properties. So did they gain any new properties? No, because they still have the same properties. Each component loses its original properties. That's incorrect. We said they still have the same properties. And even if it makes sense, if it's gained, it might be lost. So one and two cancel out. The proportion of components can vary, yes, because you can make a mixture regardless to what amount. So I can mix what amount together. So the last one can be like when I say can vary, that's incorrect. Question number 15. Table sugar can be separated from a mixture of table sugar, and sand. So if you're looking for the table sugar, it's soluble. Sand is insoluble. So I'm going to use a filtration. So how to do that? I have to dissolve it in water. After that, I have to make a filtration. So he said in the first part, sand stirring and distillating at 100. That's 100% incorrect because I said sugar should be soluble in water. Now, sand stirring and filtrating, that's incorrect. Water stirring and distillating, that's incorrect. Water stirring, so here, this is for solubility of the sugar and filtration to separate the sand. So the answer must be number 4. Question 16. Which statement describes the particles of the ideal gas? Again, the kinetic molecular theorem said that the volume for the particle is negligible. There is no attraction force between the particle, and there is no loss of energy upon collision. So I'm looking for one of these three stuff. So in the first one, he said that the volume of the particle is negligible. So that's the correct answer. So 16, number 1. Question number 70. During which two process does a substance release energy? Release energy. So releasing energy means I'm taking the energy, energy, taking energy. How can I take energy of a substance when I change? Okay, look here. If I do decomposition or deposition, so lose energy. So I go from gas or condensation to liquid, and after that freezing, lose energy. I'm going for solid. If I'm going backward, I'm gaining energy, so evaporation and melting. So when I do melting, when I do evaporation, I added energy. So in that case, I don't release energy. But when I do freezing and freezing, deposition, or condensation, I'm taking the energy from the substance. So that's how it's releasing. So freezing and condensation is going to be the ideal one. Because melting, I added energy, evaporation, I adding energy, evaporation and melting, I adding energy. So the answer is number 1. Question number 18. Based on table I, which compound is solved in water by an exothermic process? So now I'm going to write them before. Sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, ammonium chloride, ammonium nitrate. Okay, so I'm going for table I. Here they are. So sodium chloride. So here I have to find. Here is sodium, ammonium chloride giving me positive, ammonium nitrate giving me positive, sodium chloride giving me positive. Now sodium, I'm looking for sodium hydroxide NOH giving me negative. So that's the only one that's releasing energy, sodium hydroxide. I'm going back again. Sodium hydroxide. So question number 18 must be 2. Question number 19. At standard temperature and pressure, which property of the molecule substance is determined by arrangement of its molecules? So Half-life doesn't be affected by the arrangement. Molar mass is going to be the same. Uh, Physical states, yes, because it's going to affect the crystal shape. Percent composition is incorrect because it's going to be the same percent. So the only one is going to be number three, physical states. Question number 20. Equilibrium can be reached by physical change only? No. Chemical change or nuclear change only? No. Both physical and chemical change. So the answer is three. How? For example, let's say I'm going to give you an improper. Okay, let's take NaOH is going to give me plus water. Okay, so Na positive plus H3O. Sorry. Okay, so let's see it from the front sheet, chemical front sheet. Okay, so here's the reaction. Sodium hydroxide in water giving me sodium plus OH plus heat. Okay. Now, so now for physical change, what is going to happen if I added heat? The shift is the reaction is going to shift to the right. That's physical because adding heat is not affecting the reaction. So I don't have a change in the materials. Okay, what about a chemical change? So for example, if I added another material, like for example, let's say I added sodium chloride. So sodium chloride in water is going to give me the ions. So once I have the ion for sodium, I increase it in the right side, so I shift it to the left side. So physical and chemical change is going to shift the reaction. So the answer should be number three. Okay. Which value is defined as the difference between the potential energy of the product and the potential energy of the reactant during the chemical change? Heat of fusion, that's nuclear, and it's going to be the heat of the reaction, delta H. Delta H comes from the change between the energy in the product and the reactant. Heat of deposition, that's to convert from gas to solid. Heat of vaporization, that's to convert from solid from liquid to gas. Heat of fusion, so that's like the melting, so converting from solid to liquid. So the only one that's giving me information about reaction is number two. Question number 22. The effect of a catalyst. So if we remember, the catalyst lower the activation energy, lower the activation energy. Okay, so now I'm going to read. On a chemical reaction is to provide reaction pathways that resulted in a different potential energy, no. Heat of the reaction, no. Potential energy, again, no. But activation energy, so the answer is going to be number four. Question number 23. Chemical system in nature tend to undergo change towards, again, less heat, more randomness. Less heat, more randomness. Less heat means lower energy, so it's either one or two. Higher randomness means higher entropy, so the answer is going to be number two. So 23, number two. Question number 24. The atom of which element bond to one another in chain ring and network? So that's question about organic chemistry. Because if we remember that We have alkane, and we have benzene rings. So that's the only element we heard about that it can make rings. So the carbon. So the answer is number two. Now, which general formula is homologous for a series con- con- includes ethene? Ethene is like alkene. So I'm looking for the formula for alkene. I go for the reference sheet. And where's alkene? And that's functional group here. Alkene is CnH2n. So that's his question. He's asking about the formula. CnH2n. So the answer is 1. Question number 26. When an fluorine atom becomes fluorine ion, the F atom, okay, so I have F giving me F minus, so that's 0. I should add negative 1, so that's the electron. So here the fluorine ion, the fluorine atom gain an electron to be an ion. So that's the question. So here gain proton, no. Lose proton, no, because protons doesn't participate in the reaction. Gain electron, yes, to add the negative charge. Loses electrons, no, because it's going to be positive charge. And I showed you the equation here. Question number 27. Which substance is Arrhenius base? Arrhenius base again gain hydrogen. Which one is going to gain hydrogen? The one gaining hydrogen should has a hydroxyl group. So that's acid, acid, acid. That's the only base. If you don't know it, you can go for your reference sheet. Some common here. If you look here, I'm going to write the names: HNO3, H2SO4, CaOHO2, CH3COOH. So here, HNO3 common acid, HNO3 nitric acid. So from this one, I know that it's an acid. H2SO4 sulfuric acid here. CH3COH, that's ethanoic acid. So the only one is a base is CaOH, and if you go a little bit down, here is COH in the base table. Okay. Question number 28. In which type of nuclear reaction do two light nuclei combine together? So I have two giving me one. If you look, I fuse them. So I make fusion. I make fusion. Emission is a type of decay, so I still have this. I'm doing only for one atom. So when I fuse means fusion is going to be number 4. Because fission means I split and fuse means I connect. Question number 29. Using equal masses of the reactant, which statement describes the relative amount of energy released during the chemical reaction and the nuclear reaction? So the nuclear reaction is giving you high energy. Chemical reaction giving you low energy. That's why if you forget it, remember the nuclear pump. Nuclear pump giving you a lot of energy. So the first one saying the chemical and the nuclear reaction release equal amount of energy. That's incorrect. Otherwise, any chemical reaction in the lab is going to make all that destruction. The nuclear reaction release half of the amount. No, because I said the nuclear is more. The chemical reaction release more. That's incorrect. And if you're looking, 2 and 3 are the same statement with rearranging the word. The nuclear reaction release more energy, so that's the answer number 4. The last question for part A. Now, the ratio For uranium and lead can be used for which one? Number three, geological formation. What about the